Welcome to SamvaadX News Podcast. Today is 27th April Sunday, and the time as we record this is just about 9 a.m.
We are Raj Patel and Priya Shah here.
And we're diving straight into, well, a whole cluster of developments today, many stemming from that deeply troubling attack in Pahalgam.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be looking at the immediate fallout security, diplomatic moves, but also how it's rippling outwards, into business and even sports.
That attack, tragically claiming 26 lives, has really set off a chain reaction, hasn't it?
It really has. And the most immediate visible thing is the intensified security response in Jammu and Kashmir, a very robust response.
Indeed. Security forces seem to be undertaking quite concentrated anti-terror operations, targeting individuals, locations.
Our sources are detailing the demolition of, I think, at least 6 houses across various districts: Kulgam, Shopian, Pulwama, Anantnag, Kupwara.
Right. And these are linked to alleged militants, people like Zakir Ahmad Ghani and Farooq Ahmed.
Exactly. And they're using controlled blast for these demolitions, which, signifies the scale of these operations. It's quite significant.
And it's not just demolitions, is it? There's been a huge surge in searches, detentions.
Oh, massive. We're talking hundreds detained overall.
Yeah.
Just in Anantnag alone, the figure was 175. It's a very wide net being cast.
And the National Investigation Agency, the NIA, taking over the Pahalgam probe, that tells you something.
Absolutely. That signals the gravity that this is being treated with at the very highest levels. It's now a federal investigation.
And adding to all this volatility, the line of control, more ceasefire violation?
Yes, for the third night running, apparently. Pakistani troops initiating fire.
Where specifically?
The reports mention areas opposite to Marigali and Kupwara, and also the Rampur sectors in Baramulla. Unprovoked small arms fire is the report.
And the Indian Army is responding, naturally.
They are responding, yes. It just, well, it ramps up the tension, doesn't it? Especially coming right after Pahalgam. Seems like a deliberate escalation, perhaps.
So, beyond the immediate J&K security actions, India's broader response towards Pakistan has been quite traumatic.
Hugely significant actions, yes. Diplomatic, strategic.
Top of the list, maybe, the suspension of the 1972 Simla Agreement. That's huge.
It really is. That agreement has been like the bedrock of bilateral relations, the framework for resolving issues peacefully for decades. Suspending it is a fundamental shift, a really big statement.
And then there's the practical stuff, closing Indian airspace to Pakistani flights.
Yeah, major disruption there.
Yep.
And shutting down the Attari-Wagah border crossing for trade and transit, that's a key route.
Plus the suspension of all bilateral trade ties. That's got a big price tag attached.
It does. Estimated around 3,800 crore annually. That's a significant economic hit.
And even blocking the Pakistan government's official X handle in India, it's filtering down to digital comms, too.
Right, sort of cutting ties across multiple levels there.
Yeah.
Shows the depth of the current rift.
Okay, shifting gears a bit, but still nationally significant. The Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. Good news on that front.
Yes. It looks like it's set to resume in June 2025. It's been suspended for 5 years.
Why was it suspended again? COVID was part of it, right?
Yeah, the pandemic initially, but also, crucially, those border tensions with China along the LAC.
Okay. So its resumption is quite meaningful.
Definitely. It suggests, well, maybe some easing of those tensions, or at least a decision to prioritize this really important pilgrimage for Hindu devotees, probably using the usual routes, through Uttarakhand and Sikkim.
Right. Okay, another development, the National Testing Agency, the NTA, they've launched something new.
Yeah, a dedicated online portal. It's specifically for reporting any suspicious claims or activities related to the NEET UG exam.
So trying to boost transparency.
Exactly. Giving people a formal channel to report potential malpractices. It's all about maintaining the credibility of that exam, which is obviously vital.
Moving over to the courts now. The Allahabad High Court. There's a case involving the UP Deputy CM.
That's right, Keshav Prasad Maurya. The court has submitted a petition challenging his educational degrees.
What are the allegations?
The petition talks about discrepancies, even calls them fake degrees in his election affidavits.
Hasn't this been looked at before?
It has. It was initially dismissed, but then the Supreme Court actually directed the High Court to hear the matter properly. So it's back on the table. Continued scrutiny there.
Okay. And in Chhattisgarh, progress on that medical purchase scam investigation.
Yes, the state's Economic Offenses Wing, the EOW, has filed a charge sheet. It's a pretty big case, about 550 crore.
Who's been named?
6 individuals so far. It includes former officials from the Chhattisgarh Medical Services Corporation, CGMSCL, and also people from private firms.
And what exactly are they accused of?
Well, the alleged scam period is Jan 2022 to October 2023. The accusations are basically collusion, fraudulent purchases of medical supplies at inflated rates. They mention one firm, Mogshit Corporation, and suggest alleged shell entities were involved too.
Right, sounds complex. And finally, on the national front, an actress booked under COFEPOSA.
Yes, actress Rania. It's in connection with an alleged gold smuggling case worth about 12 crore.
COFEPOSA. That's quite a serious act, isn't it?
It is. Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act. It allows for preventive detention, essentially to stop someone from continuing illicit activities.
So why invoke it here?
The rationale seems to be preventing any further smuggling activity, and there were also reports suggesting a lack of cooperation during the investigation. So it's a significant legal step.
Okay, let's look internationally now. The Pahalgam attack obviously drew reactions from around the world.
Widespread condemnation, yes. Lots of strong statements.
Any specific examples?
Well, the UAE president, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, actually called PM Modi directly. That's quite personal.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw strong statements from the U.S. State Department, Canadian PM Trudeau. A pretty unified global response condemning the violence.
But amidst that, a rather different kind of statement from Pakistan's defense minister.
Ah, yes. A warning of all-out war if Pakistan were to be attacked. That kind of rhetoric definitely doesn't help de-escalate things.
No, quite the opposite. And meanwhile, the group initially blamed the Resistance Front, TRF. They're denying involvement.
They are. They put out a statement saying they weren't involved and that the attribution was false. So that adds another layer of, uncertainty about who exactly was behind it.
Okay. Other major international news. A big explosion in Iran.
Yes, a massive blast at the Shahid Rajeh port in Bandar Abbas, a really key port for Iran.
What happened? Any idea?
Initial reports point towards a suspected chemical explosion. The casualties sound significant.
How many?
At least 14 deaths reported so far and over 700 injured, plus obviously major damage and disruption at the port.
Wow. And that's happening while Iran is involved in those indirect nuclear talks.
Exactly. Indirect talks with the U.S. happening in Oman. So the timing and context are, complex geopolitically speaking.
And finally, on the world stage, Pope Francis' funeral drew many world leaders.
It did. A huge gathering. You had President Biden, former President Trump, President Zelensky, Prince William, many others paying respects. Highlights the Pope's global influence.
And there was that meeting between Trump and Zelensky.
Yes, that caught some attention.
Yeah.
Especially given the ongoing war and reports, about a potential Trump peace plan that might involve Ukraine ceding territory.
No, Trump later seemed to walk that back a bit.
He did. He publicly questioned whether Putin was actually willing to end the war. So, mixed signals there, perhaps.
All right, let's shift to business news. The closure of Pakistani airspace. That's having a real impact, right?
Oh, definitely. Significant disruption for Indian flights.
How many flights are we talking about?
The estimate is around 800 weekly flights are affected. These are mainly the ones heading to Europe, the Middle East, Central Asia.
So longer routes, more fuel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Longer flight durations, higher fuel costs, more expensive operations for airlines. The DGCA, India's aviation regulator, has even advised airlines to try and ensure passenger comfort on these longer flights.
And some airlines are canceling routes.
Yeah, Indigo, for instance, has suspended its flights to Tashkent and Almaty because of this. Direct consequence.
Okay. In other business news, Mahindra & Mahindra has made a big acquisition.
Yes, M&M. They've acquired a controlling stake, 58.96% in SML Isuzu.
SML Isuzu. They make trucks and buses, right?
That's their main business, yeah. Light and medium commercial vehicles and buses. So this move gives M&M a much stronger foothold in that segment.
How much was the deal worth?
About 555 crore. It's seen as a pretty strategic buy for M&M to boost their commercial vehicle portfolio.
Okay. On the banking front, IDFC First Bank reported results. Not so great.
No, a fairly steep drop. Their Q4 net profit was down 58% year-on-year. Came in at 304 crore PAT.
Any reasons given?
Their full disclosures would have the specifics, but yeah, significant dip compared to last year.
Looking ahead, in tech, India's getting its own sovereign large language model.
That's the plan. Sarvam AI has been selected to build it.
What's the goal there, like an Indian ChatGPT?
Sort of. But the idea is to have AI that's specifically tailored to India's languages, its culture, its needs. Reducing reliance on foreign AI platforms is a big part of it.
Makes sense. How long will it take?
They're aiming for about 6 months to get the first version ready. Ambitious, but important.
And sticking with AI, generative AI spending is set to boom.
Looks like it. Projections suggest Gen AI could make up 43% of India's total AI spending by 2025.
Wow, that's a huge chunk.
It is. And overall AI investment is expected to grow about 2.7 times. So massive growth anticipated in that whole sector.
Okay, let's quickly touch on sports and tech snippets. An IPL match washed out.
Yeah, the KKR versus Punjab Kings game. Abandoned due to rain, sadly. Punjab had actually put up a good score, 2014.
And the players wore black armbands?
They did, yes. Both teams. It was a mark of respect for the victims of the Pahalgam attack. A somber note there.
But some great news in athletics. Shaili Singh breaking a record.
Incredible news. She broke Anju Bobby George's national long jump record, leapt 6.64 meters at the Federation Cup.
How long did Anju's record stand?
23 years. So this is a really major achievement for Shaili Singh. Fantastic performance.
Definitely something to celebrate, but potentially bad news for the Pakistan hockey team's tour.
Well, yes. Given the heightened tensions we've been discussing, there's now uncertainty about whether their team will be able to visit India for the Asia Cup as scheduled.
Understandable, I suppose, in the current climate.
Yeah, cross-border sporting events often get caught up when diplomatic relations are strained like this, so it's definitely in doubt now.
And finally, just a reminder about cyber fraud. Seems to be ever present.
Unfortunately, yes. We saw reports from Pune, people losing 35 lakh. And that older Delhi case resurfaced, a retired scientist losing 40 lakh through a fake customer care scam.
Just highlights the need to be so careful, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Vigilance with online transactions, skepticism about unsolicited calls or messages. It's crucial. These scams are getting more sophisticated.
Indeed. Okay, that covers the main headlines for today.
A lot happening, definitely.
See you tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe to SamvaadX News Podcast channel and hit that bell icon.